Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Becky, and we're parents to two little kids. Parenting isn't always easy. There are ups and downs, good days and bad days, days with way too much TV, and days with lots of laughter. Moments where you just feel overwhelmed, and moments where you've never felt more proud.
At the end of the day, parenting is super rewarding, but also super hard. This podcast is for all the parents out there who feel like they have no idea what they're doing, because we're right there with you. This is the Spillproof podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Spillproof podcast. I'm Becky.
And I'm Dave.
And today we're talking about our story, how we met.
That's right. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to share with you a little bit on a little bit of our background and our story. We've talked a little bit about it, I think, on our very first podcast, but that was more around like why we were doing this, not necessarily about us. So
Us personally couldn't be parents without meeting first.
it was our first step in becoming parents.
Yeah.
Was
And
meeting.
I think something we are realizing more and more is you have to make time. Like, in order to be a good parent, you have to make time for your relationship. So really, we just wanted to walk you all through how we met.
Yeah, and I think that, a little bit of background is will give you an idea of who we are, but also, why we came about doing this podcast. This was something that we wanted to do to make time for ourselves, and this gives us a really great opportunity to spend time together. No kids. It's about kids, but there are no kids sitting in between us, so we can actually have a conversation ourselves, because those of you who are parents know how hard it is to have just a conversation without it being interrupted, let alone trying to go to the bathroom or anything like that.
Yeah. All right. So where should we start?
At the beginning?
Okay.
So,
I mean, obviously, we're going to start at the beginning.
in the middle,
Let's start
but a
in the
little bit
middle,
after that.
and then go to the end, and then go back to the beginning.
Yes, because this is going to be one of those really creatively told stories.
No, we're just going to go A, then B, then C, then D.
Very linear. Well, okay, so here's a good question. What would you say the beginning was?
I mean,
Where did it begin for you? Because I know where it began for me, and I was ghosted, so...
I was hoping you would bring this up because it's kind of like my favorite story about us dating. So I was going to say, I mean, it did really start when we started talking online. So Dave and I had both signed up for Match.com.
Yep.
And I had also been on like eHarmony.
Me too.
And I think when we went back and checked, we did match up on both Match and eHarmony.
After the fact, eHarmony had matched us up.
Yes.
And this is not a plug for either one of those. It just happened to be. We're very likable people. Nobody just wanted to, start talking to us.
But like, there's no shame in some online dating. I mean, I feel like it's probably how people meet these days in quarantine. You're not really meeting anyone at a bar, so.
Yeah, that's what Tinder's for.
Jeez. Yeah. So I had been off and on like online dating sites for years. Like, I would do it for 2-3 months, go on. I rarely if ever made it past a first date because I would immediately decide like I didn't like that person enough to go on a second date, or I just felt uncomfortable. And I was probably like a very annoying person to go on a first date with because I would make my mind up like 30 minutes in, like this isn't going to go anywhere. And I would continue the date and be nice and cordial, obviously.
So how many dates? What was your longest stint? Besides me.
Through like online dating?
Yeah.
Maybe 3 dates.
Ouch.
Maybe. And it might have just been 2.
2, and then you ghosted them too.
Well, listen, you got to do what you got to do these days.
Yeah. Well, this is 2017, right?
It was 2016.
2016, that's right. This was 2016.
Yeah.
This was the summer of 2016.
Summer of 2016. And
set the mood.
I mean, we've gone back and looked at our conversations. And I don't remember ghosting Dave, which I think is so funny.
Well, so
you tell this part.
So I saved everything on a computer, a really old computer, screenshotted all of our chats. I don't know why. Well, this was after the fact. I went back and did this. I wasn't some creep who was like, documenting all this stuff.
Stalker.
Yeah, right.
This is why I never made it past first days. No.
Yeah, you're in it deep now. So what had happened is I was on Match, and
but this was like your first time on Match, right?
Correct.
Yes.
I had never tried anything like this before. It was just where I was at in life. I just didn't have time. I had cut all ties with all my friends that were, in high school and stuff like that. And all the coworkers I had were not an ideal pool of candidates. We'll just put it that way. So I got on Match, tried it out, and I think I had talked to a couple of people. My mom tried to hook me up with somebody from church who had no interest in doing that. It was two mothers who happened to be chatting and saying they had two single kids. So that was fun. That didn't get anywhere past texting. But I think I talked to like two other people before you. And I mean, it was like maybe a month and a half on it, maybe maxed 2 months.
Whereas I was like probably for like 4 or 5 years off and on Match, eHarmony, would like get on for a couple months, go on like 2-3 dates, and then be like, this is crap, I'm not doing this anymore. And then I would like be off of it for 6 months to a year, and then be like, okay, let me try it again. So I was like off and on a lot. So it was like pretty common for me, looking back on it, to be like, to probably ghost people, because I would wake up one day and be like, I'm done with this for a while.
So I had sent you a message, and I mean, I think it had sat there for maybe a week and a half with no response. I want to say it was viewed, because I think I remember you could see if someone had seen it. So it was viewed, but there was no response. Meanwhile, I started talking to somebody else, just because, whatever.
It's allowed.
Yeah,
you were on an online dating app. Here's
well,
you
I mean,
can talk to other people.
here's what I really did is I went through and I basically cold called by texting people. So I'd shoot out
like a lot of messages.
Yeah,
that's what you're
like I'm
supposed
pretty
to do
sure
on the app.
my YouTube history during that time period was how to find matches on
I'm not
Match.
surprised by that.
So
You go to YouTube for everything.
yeah, most people do. That's how I learned how to do Excel. So what I did is, I think it said like you need to do like it was your sales. It was sales numbers. So you do 25 a day, and the rate of return is X. So I wasn't meeting that, but I was sending a lot out.
You weren't meeting the threshold for love.
No, well, no. It's just 20. You think you send 25 messages out a day, but you have to actually vet those people. There's not that many people on it. I mean, yeah, if you want to go to Buffalo and Syracuse and other parts of upstate New York, it's just maybe. I don't want to go to Watertown. So it's so I started talking with somebody who was in Webster, and they were a teacher. I specifically remember this, and I remember, I think I was honestly, I was probably talking to, where was I then? I was probably talking to one of my coworkers
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know. Like, I was.
I feel like you've skipped ahead a little bit because I feel like you weren't at that point. Like we started messaging a little bit.
This is before that.
No, this was before it?
This
Oh,
is
okay.
before that.
All right.
So I was talking to a coworker of mine, and she was giving me kind of like, I was like, this is the situation. I started talking to this girl, and I'm getting to the point where we're probably going to go on a date. But this girl that I messaged almost 2 weeks ago messaged me back.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me, everyone.
That's you. And so I'm like, okay, now I'm chatting with these two girls, and I'm like, what do I do? Like, is the rule of thumb like you have to disclose your dating or your messaging to people? Because I'm somebody who follows the rules.
You are like a monogamous too.
100%.
You are like one person. Like you don't even want to talk with anyone else.
Why would you want more headaches? It just doesn't make any sense. It just, I don't understand why stretching yourself that thin. It just doesn't. It's not right, and it's you deserve all the attention. So this went on. So you're right. So this kind of coincides with that. So we started talking. I'm talking to this other girl, and it gets to the point where I gotta decide. I have to like pick a lane. And I think what ended up happening is that you and I had at this point, because maybe a week had gone by at this point. No, not even. I think it was actually just a couple of days. We had more back and forths. So I was like, okay.
Once I got started.
I was going to, yeah, once you got started. But you were somewhere for this. Granted, this all happened while I was on vacation. So I was on vacation, got back. In June, I went down to the Outer Banks. And so I was talking with this girl for a little bit. And then you messaged me back. And I decided that I liked where our conversation was going better. And I'm pretty sure I just stopped texting that other person.
So you ghosted her, and you give me a hard time for ghosting you for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Because you could have missed all of this.
I would have missed out.
But you were actually somewhere during that.
I was in Orlando with my mom. Every once in a while, we would do like a little girls trip, and we were in mostly Universal Studios at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter specifically. Mm-hmm. And I think we did one day at Disney, but I was on vacation with my mom.
Mm-hmm. And I remember, so we had talked for maybe a week at that point. And as I'm sure you did, I like Facebook stalked. Like I went into Facebook and like tried to read like up on you, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you did that.
Yeah,
to me.
I think I didn't know. I didn't find you on Facebook because I didn't know your last name for a while.
Did that not have last names?
No, because I specifically remember the first time I asked for your last name, and it was like our third date.
I was gonna say it was a while.
It was like it was when we did that bike ride. I
had just figured it out.
Oh,
I think
from like the info I gave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did not do that much background research.
I did.
Before we move on though from this, I just want to say I never knew that I had ghosted Dave initially, like on like after after the initial message he sent me, until literally our first Valentine's Day married to each other. So we're at this like very nice restaurant, dressed up like we had just seen someone get engaged at the restaurant. Like it was like really cool. We were sitting pretty near them, and Dave got so serious all of a sudden. And I was like, that's weird. Like, why is he so serious? And he was like he was bringing up a super difficult conversation. I was like, why is he doing this on Valentine's Day? That's weird. And you were like, So I'm just wondering why, when we first started chatting, you didn't message me back for a little bit. And I was like, "Is really like we're married?" And we were pregnant at the time. That pregnancy didn't end up making it, but I was like, "Really? You want to know about that?" Like, we're pretty far beyond that. We're literally married right now. And I was like, what a weird thing to bring up on Valentine's Day of all things, or excuse me, on Valentine's Day of all things.
So maybe ghosting isn't the right term, but it felt like ghosting because you had seen the message. I saw that you had read the message, and then it was like a week and a half of silence.
But no one, but that's also because like me with the dating apps, I would be
Right.
really interested for like a couple weeks and
Right.
then be like, no, I don't want to do this. So I'm glad you hung in there and waited for me.
I did.
And I'm glad
You know me.
I, messaged you back. But
I like how so I had family in town because this was all leading up. I remember specifically July 4th, we had decided when and where we were going to have our first date.
I think it was like what, July 6th or 7th
But
that we had our first date.
my mom's sister, her younger sister, and their family was in town, and we were on the canal over by Lock 32, feeding ducks. And I remember that you called me, and I thought that was weird.
I called you?
You called me.
I'm shocked I called you.
You didn't. You accidentally called me. And you texted back later saying, "Oh, hey, sorry, I butt dialed you. I was with my friends talking about you." And
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
I remember this now. Yeah.
But I'm like 99% sure you were just with your family.
No, I was actually with work friends.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, interesting. I always assumed all this time you were just in your parents'
No,
backyard.
I
with
was
your
at a
family.
barbecue. I was actually doing something with friends. Yeah, no, I was actually at a barbecue and
socializing, which is shocking.
Yeah, I was out and about and with a couple work friends, and I think maybe had too many adult beverages. Not like a ton, but like enough to where I accidentally butt dialed you.
I don't
And
think
I was talking about you.
Yeah, and I think that what you did is you were pulling up the messages or something.
100%.
And you totally
I was
hit
like,
call.
let me show you this guy that I'm talking to on the app. I think we're gonna meet. I don't know. And I remember freaking out when I realized I had called you, being like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do?" Ah.
Well, because I think I called you back, and it just it rang and then went to voicemail.
Yeah.
Because at this
Probably
point,
because I panicked and was like, voicemail.
well, and I think at this point we hadn't actually talked on the phone.
No, we had just like messaged.
It was just
through
messaging through the app,
Yeah.
and then around that time we started texting. I think,
Mm-hmm.
right? No, we didn't actually exchange numbers until the
How did I call you then? I think your timeline is horrible.
right around when we scheduled our first date. We shared our phone number.
Okay. So it must. Hold on. I think your timeline's off.
You think so?
Because I 100% did not have your phone number before the first date because
That's what I'm saying.
We
You didn't
went-
have my phone number before the first date.
correct. Then how did I call you?
Huh.
Yeah. How did I call you?
Huh.
This must have been after our first date and I was probably telling them about you.
You're correct.
I have to be correct.
You are correct. Because we had went to Sticky Lips and
Who'd you go to Sticky Lips with? You didn't go with me?
with my aunt
Oh, okay.
and
Sorry.
her kids.
I got all defensive.
Jeez. Okay, so you're right. So we exchanged. You're right. So that actually was. You're right. That was the wrong timeline.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So it's me rewinding.
We can edit all of that out. We'll pick it up somewhere else.
Okay.
So yeah. So I think that we were chatting back and forth, and then we shared our number at some point.
We didn't share our numbers until after, like, at the first date, because we set a place and time through the app to meet.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I'm pretty sure it was July 6th or July 7th, because it was the week of July 4th.
It was the week of July 4th. I specifically remember that.
Yeah. And we were meeting at a coffee shop, and there were technically 2 entrances to the coffee shop, and we went to different entrances. And I remember thinking, oh gosh, I hope he's not standing me up. I had to message you through the app to ask where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, I'm here. I was like, where? And then we like both walked in a little further and we saw each other.
Well, you had gone in, not seen me, and walked back out.
Oh,
right?
that's right. Yes.
Because I had picked this coffee shop has been many things, and at that exact time it was either transitioning or it had just transitioned. And what it had done is it had separated from the restaurant that it was connected to, and I found a couch because I thought a couch would be a great place in the corner. However, when you walk through the front door, you can't see the person sitting on the couch.
You have to go like in and around the corner,
right,
to see that couch.
But it was super awkward. So I walk in. I had to tell the barista that I was there for a date. And
why did you have to tell the barista you were there for a date?
Because nobody was running the bar. Everybody was working the restaurant side. So she's like,
"Oh,
what do you want?" I'm like, "I got to wait for someone else." She's like, "Oh, well, come and find me." I'm like, okay. So, because I was the only one in there. I was the only one in there.
Yeah.
And I specifically picked the couch out because I thought we could sit next to each other, we could talk, and you sat in the chair.
Did I?
You did.
Well, I thought because then like the chair and the couch were like kitty corner, like
they were
at like it was at a right angle, and then we could look at each other and talk, and not like awkwardly like lounge on the couch.
Yeah,
like I'm doing right now, looking at you.
It's been a few years.
Yeah,
we're pretty casual at this point.
I think so.
But I remember talking to someone at work, and I was like, I thought it would be funny, and I don't think I would have done it, but thought it would have been funny to like, and I told you this, I think, to have like a red balloon and be like, I'm the one with the red balloon.
I don't know if you ever told me that.
I swear I told you this.
Maybe you have, but maybe I blocked it out.
And then
because it's weird.
The girl at work I was talking with, she's like, don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that.
The first thing that comes to mind is It.
See, I've never seen It, and my mind goes to, I think it is How I Met Your Mother.
Oh,
where there's a red balloon.
I would have been like, why is he trying to be like Pennywise?
I think there was a red balloon there. It was either that or Scrubs. I don't remember. It was one of those.
That was a good call that your coworker told you not to do that.
Yeah, it's a good thing we invited her to our wedding, right?
Yes. But I thought our first date went really well. We were actually there for 3 hours.
Yeah,
and
really long.
Obviously, it was the best first date I had because I went on another one. I went on another date. But I remember thinking while we were sitting there, like, oh, I really like this guy. I'm definitely going to go on another date. That's great because I don't have to figure out how to like get out of this. And I was very happy.
I remember it going really well. I remember at least once running out of something to talk about. Only once, I think it was, and we were talking about the bridge on the wall because so we live close to a lift bridge, and it's I think it's one of the only ones.
It's like in the Guinness Book of World Records, or I think, or it's at an angle. So typically lift bridges are like flat, right? So this one is at an angle, and it lifts at an angle. Yeah,
so it's like this big thing, and there was a model of it up on the wall, and to this day I still want to find it because it's gone now. Again, the place changed again, and it's
still like a coffee shop, but it's a new owner, and
and the decor's changed.
Yeah,
and it was like this copper remake of it, and it was probably 12, not 12. It was probably 6 feet long.
6 feet, yeah.
I really want to get it to put it up on our wall because I think that'd be a really great centerpiece to have, and it'd
That
be
would
great
be really cool.
for us to be like, this is like what we had on our first date.
Yeah, this
Because
would
I
be-
remember running out of things to talking about, and I panicked, and I was like, oh, that bridge is interesting.
Yeah, and I'm like not like those of you who have met me, you're probably like, yeah, Becky's not the most social or outgoing person. Not that I can't be social or outgoing, but like I do
No, you can.
like I get awkward or really anxious around
Definitely.
new people. So I like you were definitely like leading more of the conversation.
Probably. I remember us talking about many things that date.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were literally there for 3. Like we closed the place down.
That's right, we did.
Yeah. Like the barista had to come over and be like, we're closing in 10 minutes. You have to go home.
It was a really long time, but it didn't feel like a long time.
No, it didn't. I remember thinking like, oh gosh, like this literally has been 3 hours. And I do remember calling my sister on the way home and telling her that I really liked you and I definitely wanted to see you again. And yeah.
I remember when you first turned the corner and I first saw you and I was like, oh man, she's really pretty.
Oh. I had just gotten highlights the week before.
Had you?
I did.
I was gonna say it was really blonde.
It was. I think I want to go back to being really blonde. Side note.
Do it. Yeah, so and I thought it went really well. I think I called Dan or Mom or somebody and told them it went really well because they were really curious about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had never done anything like that. That was the first time that I ever went on a date with somebody who I had no real connection is not the right word, but I didn't know through somebody.
Yeah. I wasn't like a friend of a friend.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't someone you met at like a bar. I was.
Yeah, because at that point I had moved out of the city. I was living in the apartment with my brother,
With your
I think.
brother, yeah. You were. Yeah. And so obviously I had other dates from Match, but
What was
you
your
were the
worst
best.
one?
Oh gosh, it immediately comes to mind. But I had gone to dinner with someone, and it just felt very forced.
Mhm.
And
On both ends?
I am fairly confident it was just on my end, and I felt a little uncomfortable the whole time. And then after dinner, I was like, okay, dinner's done. I got to get out of here. Like, I'm not feeling it. And he asked me to go on a walk along the canal. And I was like, I got awkward and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, how bad could it be? Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So we ended up sitting on like a park bench and he put his arm around my shoulders so tight and like pulled me to him. And I was like, this is this is super awkward. Like, I don't know him like that. And this is like,
This is the first date?
this is the first date. Like, we've literally been like on a 45-minute dinner maybe. And like, I wasn't feeling it. He was not reading the signals. And like his arm, I'm like thinking about it now and like cringing because his arm was so tight around my shoulders. And I made eye contact with the girl on the canal. And I feel like we never said anything. But I feel like she like gave me a sympathetic look and I was like, help me. And then I was like, oh, I have to get home. And he walked me to my car and like aggressively tried to kiss me. And I was like, I have to go, bye. And like got in my car and drove away and never messaged him back. Like it was way too aggressive for me. And I hadn't felt like a connection or anything prior to that.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Yeah.
So there was no reason to have for me to have asked that, but I just was out of my own
curiosity.
Because we've actually never talked about that before.
Yeah, I guess we haven't.
No, I mean it's just a small part of everything that it.
Like we talked about that. Like I had been on Match like longer, and how I would
Yeah.
go through spurts of like being super into it and not into it.
Mhm.
But you're right. We had never talked about like my worst Match date.
No, or your other best one, but
None. I told you I was very picky. Like, and when I say I made it to like 3 dates once, like with one other person, I made it to 3 dates.
I feel very
and
lucky.
I think it was maybe only 2.
No reason to be embarrassed.
No.
I think you won.
Our second date was maybe only we
this-
had made it on the first date. We went out to dinner to
Yeah, because I panicked. So the way the first date ended, I panicked, and so I'm an overthinker, and at this point, like Becky said, we had exchanged numbers at the end of this date, and so we exchanged numbers, and I think I had said something like, I think we should, do this again, and all those awkward things. They got really awkward, at least for me. And I was like, shoot. Okay, so if I don't set this up now, my background is in sales. And
he's got to close the deal.
yeah, it's just it's a very interesting, and I'll be the first to say I was never great at sales, but I know enough of the thought. I'm not going to say tactics because it's not a tactic, but the thought processes behind it. And if we had left there and hadn't set up our second date, then it just would have been that much harder to set it up. So, it would give you the opportunity of being like, not message me back, or it was a really good way
You
of.
didn't want me to ghost him again.
Pretty much. But it gave me a good opportunity also to figure out where I stood. So if I was able to set up a second date at that point in time, then I knew that whatever my brain was thinking, how it went, it would confirm it or.
That's a good tactic, because I will say if you were that creep guy that I just talked to you about, I probably would have and you were like, hey, let's set it up now. I would have been like, well, just text me. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But obviously with you, I was like, yes, let's set this up. And I think it was for like 3 or 4 days later.
It was
because you did have family in town.
I had family in town. And this was, I'm only going to go into 3. So a first date, second, and third, because everything else is just, it is what it is. The second date, I always get these two confused. Was it dinner? Second date?
It was dinner. Yep.
So dinner. So we set up dinner. We had talked about it. Out of all the things we talked about in the 3 hours, we had talked about a restaurant. I think it was, because I think we were talking about their buffalo cauliflower bites.
Yeah.
And you had said that you don't like cauliflower, I think. And I was like, well, this will change your mind about cauliflower. And it did.
It did.
It did. Spoiler alert. So we had set that up, and I'd figured out that we were on a good page. But you're right. It was a couple days later because of my schedule and family.
And we met there, right? I
We
think
did.
we did. We met there.
We met there. I want to say I met you in there. Because
I think we did, because it was weird street parking.
Yes,
so
it was in the city. It was street
like,
parking.
Meet in the parking lot, like we just.
Yeah, you had to meet.
I think because of schedules, like we just had to meet. Like it was easier to meet there and walk inside. And
I don't remember specifically what day it was, but I think you had come close to work. Maybe no, that doesn't sound right.
Well, weren't you on vacation? You were like staying at the beach or at the lake with your family.
Was I that date?
Yeah, because not that long later, we went on our third date.
But our third date, I was definitely.
Regardless, for some reason, we drove separately, which, you know, we only met each other once, so not that big of a deal.
No, it just, I think it was the logistics of it. We just
Yeah.
drove separate. But our second date was dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dinner at this really nice restaurant that
I
wasn't...
was skeptical of this restaurant.
So it's the restaurant
It's
was
like
called the Owl House.
Yeah.
And it's in an old house in the city. And
But the food is geared more towards
it's
like vegan
it's
food.
borderline vegetarian options, but
Yeah.
they have steak, they've got fish.
They do.
They've got really good desserts. Some of them they make, some of them that they bring in from a bakery.
But as someone who like has never,
It's a little adventurous.
yeah, and I am like I'm not that I don't try things. Like I'll definitely try things, but I've never like prior to this had never tried like a lot of vegan food or.
You're an Applebee's ribs girl.
Gosh, I wish we had Applebee's ribs. Right
They're
now.
actually pretty
so
good. I really like them too.
But also,
not
I'm a little beyond Applebee's ribs. We just have recently found that those to be very delicious.
Yes, we are for the
My
taste
palate
and bang
is
for the
further
buck.
than that.
Yeah.
but I was going into it. I was really nervous because I was like, is this going to be the weirdest dinner I've ever had?
Yeah, you're more Trotta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that anybody listening to this probably knows where these places are. So we met in the front foyer of the place. We had a really good dinner.
We had the buffalo cauliflower bites, and
Yep.
they were really good. I normally don't like the texture
And I
of
actually
cauliflower.
remember we actually sat at the top of the stairs on the upper floor right by, because everybody was walking by us.
Yeah.
And we had this little table where it was one of those ones where it was two people just sitting
Mhm.
across from each other.
Because the place isn't huge, so it was mostly like
No, it's a converted
two-seater-
house.
two-seater tables.
Yeah, and a couple four. But overall, it went really well. I don't
Yeah.
remember the specifics of it until
No,
the
I don't-
end.
Yeah.
So the only thing that was really big on this date is that I walked you back to your car.
Yep.
I think you actually parked like behind me, or right. You parked really close to me.
Yeah.
If not behind me, like a car behind me.
Mhm.
And I think I walked you to your car, and you parked right behind me unknowingly. And at this point, I had my Impreza,
Yeah.
and this is how I remember it. You tell me how you remember it. I remember us standing there, awkwardly talking. Were we in a car?
So remember, I think you had planned dinner at Owl House and dessert at this other place.
Oh, you're right.
So we got into Dave's car after dinner,
right.
and we went to this dessert place, which is they just do the desserts, I think.
They do.
And it wasn't
desserts and coffee.
Yeah, and so we were gonna go there for desserts and coffee, and it was closed. And I could tell you were like, because we drove up and you were gutted that it was closed, because you were like, we're gonna have this awesome dinner and then go have desserts and coffee at this cute little place, and it's gonna be awesome. And you were like,
it was another house converted into like a chocolatier, coffee, nightcap kind of place.
But you were definitely like,
I forgot that part of it.
you were
Because
so sad that it
we
was
went there.
closed.
We went there at one point, didn't we?
I think so. Yeah, we've been there since.
We've been there once.
Yeah, we've been there once.
Just to show you that it actually is good.
Yeah.
But you're right. We went there and it was
And
closed.
that's
I forgot
how,
that.
when you drove me back to my car, we were in the car.
Okay, I was going to say something
We
tells
were
me
in
that
a
we
car.
were
Yeah,
in
we
my
were in a
car. That.
Yeah.
So what it was is that there were a lot of the small restaurants and places like that around here. In the summertime, they take a week off, a week where the whole store closes. And it just so happened that I didn't do the research to find out that this happened to be that week. Because there was a couple other places we probably could have gone, but it was late at that point. And this place specifically is open till like 10 or 11.
Obviously, like a nice dinner. It wasn't sped up or anything. And then, yeah, I think we were trying to think of other places to go, but then at that point, it was like
everything was closed at that point.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton open.
Just basically bars. You're right. So we were, okay, thank you. So We were in my
like,
car.
how did we get in the car?
Yeah, my thought is, how did we get in the car? Because so we were in my car. It was awkward for me, and
yeah, it was awkward for me too because
Was
I think because we were both like waiting for that moment.
yeah, and I specifically remember right before we had our moment, I was like, "Oh, hey, look, your car is the same color as my car."
I don't remember that.
I specifically remember because I didn't know what to say. I was like, "Oh, hey, both our cars are this burgundy red."
Yeah.
And that was like the awkward thing. I'm like, okay, this is just awful. And then I think that's when we had our first kiss.
It was, yeah.
But I just happened to say that stupid thing right before it.
Well, I don't remember. So. I mean, now I'll remember.
Now you'll remember
I'll
forever.
remember, but I'm going to use that line all the time now on you.
What?
Just randomly. Hey, our cars were the same color.
Your
When
cars
we
are my
first met.
cars, so.
That's right.
And none of them are the
all
same
our
color.
cars used to be the same color.
All two of them.
Yeah. Yeah, we had our first kiss and it was great.
It was really good.
magical. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it being awesome.
It was.
Do you remember
awesome.
that any differently other than the fact that I totally forgot we went to that place and it was
my
closed?
cringeworthy moment, I think mine's worse, is after we kissed, we like sat back in our seats.
Yeah.
I'm literally cringing thinking about this, and I'm sure you've forgotten.
I don't remember
And
what you were going to say.
I think I said, I feel like a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so, like, it made it, like, I was like, why the heck am I saying that? I don't know. I was like, Becky, just keep your mouth shut. Don't say things anymore. Like, it came out of my mouth, and I was like, that wasn't as cute as you thought it was going to be in your head.
Now that you say it, I vaguely do remember that. And
I
was
feel like my cheeks are red from
you are. You're
thinking
a little,
of that embarrassing moment.
you're a little embarrassed in front of your husband, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I do vaguely remember that because we parked in front of the marketplace. I do. Now that you say that, I remember it, but I wouldn't have pulled that because my cringe-worthy moment was
right
different.
before and
Yeah.
mine was right after.
Yeah. Do you remember me saying that? 'Cause
I don't remember you saying the car
That's
thing.
funny.
I only remember my cringeworthy
That's
moment.
funny that neither one of us remember each other's cringeworthy moment, but they were within
Because we were so
minutes of each
focused
other.
on our own. Yeah.
I knew we didn't screw up, but I don't think I knew I didn't screw up, but I was definitely like feeling cringy at that point. Did we set up our next date? We had talked about it.
I think we did.
Did we?
I think you were like, because as we were driving back from the dessert place,
Yeah.
I think you were trying to say, like, quote unquote, save it.
Yeah.
Because you were nervous that we didn't get to go to the second place. So on the drive back, you were like, hey, would you want to go to the drive-in with me?
You're right.
And that's kind of what we talked about on the way home, not on the way home, but on the way to my car was setting up plans to go to the drive-in together.
That's right. And by this point, I was definitely on we had our family reunion on the lake. So,
yeah.
Which made things a little bit harder because I was further away. The lake was.
And you were on I didn't realize you were like having a full-blown family reunion.
Yeah, during all this.
Yeah.
So on our third date, and this was interesting too because so who was there? It was my family, my mom's middle sister's family, my mom's younger sister family,
Mm-hmm.
her two cousins, and their spouses, and one of their daughters, and their
So at
grandkid.
least like, what, 25 people?
Yeah, and I think Tommy had his girlfriend, and John had his kids. Like there was a lot of people. It was a lot of people, enough to where the guest house
A full-blown
was
family
full.
reunion.
Yeah, on the lake. And So we were planning. I don't. Do you remember the movies we saw?
Yes.
Okay. So drive-in movies. I had. So I had 2 cars at this point. Which was the usual number, but it just so happened I specifically had 2 cars this time. And I remember, and Mom still remembers this, and you might even remember this.
Oh, I remember this.
So I had brought my automatic Impreza to the lake house because it's down a hill, and it's hard to get up and over to. And my other car was a manual. So I wanted to go home and swap it out and get the Beetle, because I had a turbo stick shift Beetle, because I thought that'd be really great for the driving. Plus, you had never seen it. To this day, you never saw it because I sold it right afterwards. Because I was so bitter about it. So
he's still bitter.
I'm still bitter about this. So I went home to get it, and it was cool. It was a little car. It was kind of neat. It was an interesting vehicle in my mind, and it had like cool LED accents in it, which would look cool at night. And it just was an interesting vehicle because not many people have turbo Beetles. So I went home to get it, and well, it wasn't home. It was actually stored at my mom's house. She had just sealed her driveway, so we have asphalt driveways that need to be sealed once every 2 years. It just so happened, because we were at the lake house, she got it sealed. And I called her up. I'm like, I can't get my car out. You sealed the driveway. And she was like, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I was pissed because I had
just drive your second car.
Yeah, she's like, just drive your other car. And I'm like, I want to drive the Beetle. And this is a very good way of summing myself up, I think. So I was livid about this, like completely livid. But I never had thought to just drive it through. It had been a day. It would have been fine.
Yeah, it probably would have been fine.
But I'm such a rule follower that never occurred to me. So I had really prepared this whole
You
date,
really prepared for
and
this.
it all went to hell at that point, in my mind. So I had bought a folding chair, because I didn't know how you did drive-ins. There's 2 ways of doing drive-ins: in the car or outside. And I was always an in the car kind of person, but I think you might not have been. I don't remember.
We were either like a sit in the trunk or sit in the car.
Okay.
Like we might have
so
brought.
Why were we outside?
I don't. Only for the first movie. Second one we did in the car.
Yeah, because of mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So I had bought this folding chair that,
like a lawn chair.
Like yeah, one of the ones that unfolds, but it was 2 people. It was like basically a couch.
It was very intimidating at first,
and it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's like where you sit in it and you like roll to the center together.
Yeah, it was unintentional, and it was super uncomfortable. But I thought that was a great thing to have, and so I bought that on Amazon.
But you didn't tell me you bought it. I remember you saying
I lied, I'm sure.
The date that you were like, oh yeah, I just had this.
Yeah. I had seen somewhere that you could buy them, because now I'm starting to remember what movies it might have been, and I got high C ecto coolers.
You did, because it was Ghostbusters. Ones. Yeah, you pulled them out. It was This was like the cutest part of the date. So the first movie was Ghostbusters, the new one with
Kristen
Wiig and Melissa McCarthy.
Yep.
And the second one was like Tarzan with...
Oh, you're right. It was Tarzan.
What's his name?
The live action Tarzan.
Skarsgård is his last name.
I have no idea. Wasn't great.
It was fine, yeah. But the last live action Tarzan was the second movie. But we like got situated, and Dave pulled out these retro high, like ecto cooler high C's, and he was like, I thought these would be fun to drink during Ghostbusters.
I had to search all over town for it. I ended up having to go
cute.
like 2 towns over to get them.
Oh my god.
Because they were only sold in one location in the entire city. And I just happened to see that they had posted on either Facebook or Instagram that they had some. And I had to drive over there to get it. It was I never go to that grocery store.
Yeah.
It was like a privately
It
owned
was a
one.
good move. It definitely like...
They weren't great, but...
No, I think maybe we each had like 1 or 2, but...
But it was like that...
It like brought us back to... like, I remember drinking those as a kid, and it was great.
But this was the date, because I remember, and I'm pretty sure this had to have been the date, that I had decided to bring you flowers.
Yeah, you picked me up.
I picked you up?
You picked me up at the at the townhouse.
Oh,
you did.
Right,
you picked me up.
Did.
So that way we could drive together.
And so what I did is I brought you flowers, but instead of doing regular flowers that die and wilt and just overwhelmingly suck, I had decided to look up on YouTube how to make origami flowers. And I remember everybody at the house was like super impressed, like, and they were my family, but they were like super like, oh man, you're such a great guy. And
didn't they say like, if she doesn't like these, she's horrible.
Yeah.
Like she's trash if she doesn't like these.
And more awkwardly, like, I would date you, which they're all family, which is really weird. But yeah, they had basically said if you didn't like them, you were a monster.
Yeah.
Which you liked them. We still have them today.
They're in my office. They sit behind me.
But I made you 3 flowers, had bought the paper, color coded them, made sure they looked good. And I was only able to make 3 because they were just so hard to make.
They're so good though, and it's like we were made for each other because I am not a live flowers person. I
or a card person.
I'm really side note. I'm really bad at remembering to get Dave cards for like holidays or anniversaries or Valentine's Day, and he always gives me the most thoughtful cards and writes like personal notes in them, and I'm like, here's a hug. It's so bad. And I mean, I think anyone listening to this podcast is realizing that like I hit the jackpot with Dave because clearly he is amazing and very romantic.
You're very amazing too.
I just I forget cards.
You do.
Always forget the card. For Father's Day, I was like, I folded a piece of paper together and like took the kids' hands and drew scribbles, and I was like, the kids made you a card. Like it's a problem.
It's okay. It doesn't bother me. But yeah, we had. So despite the car being not there, the seat being uncomfortable, the flowers were awesome.
The high C was awesome. We got like a ton of snacks too.
We did.
We like you had brought some snacks, maybe like Sour Patch Kids and stuff, but we got popcorn and sodas. I think
Did we go to Wegmans? I feel like we went to Wegmans.
We did. We went to Wegmans beforehand and we got snacks.
Yeah, and we piled them into the car.
Yeah, we got a lot of snacks. So like every part of this date, I was like, this guy's taking me to get my own snacks before the movie, and he's letting me pick out whatever I want. And like we got Twizzlers and Sour Patch Kids, and like we liked a lot of the same snacks. And I was like, okay, star number 1. And then I was a little leery of the seat because I was like, this can't be comfortable, and it wasn't, but it was cute.
It was so uncomfortable.
It was so uncomfortable, but it was cute. And then he pulled out the high C, so I was like, star number 2. He pulled out the high C. I didn't know anything about the car
until later.
You had told me, but
my mom still talks.
I remember the conversation like to and from the movies was just super easy, and like I don't think there were.
And this was a long drive. This was not like a short drive.
Yeah, it's probably 30.
At least 30 minutes.
30, if not longer, minutes away.
Yeah, somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes away.
Yeah, so like I remember it being easier, and I don't remember there being as many like maybe awkward silences at our first date or something.
Yeah, I don't remember there being many.
Yeah.
Or any.
Yeah, and I just remember it like being, and we talked about so many like random topics, and I was like, this is just coming so easy.
Everything flowed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I remember this being like a turning point for me, where I was like, I could see myself like continuing, like I have no reservations. I have no desire to run away. I have no desire, right? Which I did, which like every other day before that, I was like, I want to run away from this. I don't want to do this. But I was like, I want to continue doing this and seeing him. And that was like, I feel like that was like a big turning point for us.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It definitely like solidified things.
Yeah.
And then, so we can leave this in or not. I totally
have no
up to
idea
you.
what you're about to say.
So, in fairness, you had never had a real boyfriend before.
No,
this,
I had never had.
which was news to me, and I think you had. I don't remember when you had told me that. I want to say it might have been the third date.
It might have been, yeah. I think it was where I think I had told you, like, I just never met anyone or found anyone where.
Besides the kid in, what was it, third grade?
Yeah, I dated someone for like 2.5 years from 4th grade to 6th grade. It was super serious. We would talk every 6 months, pretty much. But yeah, I had never had a real boyfriend before Dave. I had just never met anyone who I wanted to spend time with, and I was super, super picky.
Well, I find that hard to believe. But you were also an athlete and probably had a pretty busy schedule too, right?
Yeah, I mean, in high school, I was always like heavily into sports, gymnastics, and then diving, but.
And which didn't leave a lot of time for anything else.
No, but I also was like
college.
Super awkward. Like I had friends who had boyfriends in high school and college who did like the same sports that I did, but I just if I didn't feel like it was right or the right one, I was like I'm not going to invest time in this. It didn't seem like it was worth it to just for like a fling or like a.
You have a very interesting thought process, and it doesn't necessarily pertain to this, but it seems to flow into it.
Yeah.
And you're giving me a weird look.
I'm just wondering if I don't know what you're gonna say.
Well, no, your brain. It's interesting because, and it's very different from mine, where your brain says, well, what's the point of putting the effort in if it's going to be this short of time or something similar to that? You know
yeah,
what I mean?
with relationships, yeah.
And other little things too.
Yeah.
But you're always persistent too. So you've got that drive to push your way through, which I don't have a lot of the time. I can read a book and give up at any point in time and not care how it ends. It doesn't bother me.
Oh, if I start a book, I have not finished books and it bothers me.
See, I can stop a book. I can stop a movie. Do not care how it ends. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's probably why I was like, I don't want to start this because I already knew how it was going to end, you know? And so, but with you, I was like, I don't want this to end.
Right. No, I don't either.
Still going
strong.
4 years married this
4 years.
month
Yep.
in a couple weeks. And
our anniversary's coming up.
5 years together.
Yeah,
our
because
first date, well, I count from our very first date. So like July 5th or no, excuse me, July 6th or 7th. I think it was the 7th. But Dave formally asked me to be his girlfriend on August 12th.
Yeah, I was going to say, I count August.
You count August, I count July.
Yeah, I did this awesome thing, too.
It was great. So I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and
Not to toot my own horn.
it was awesome. No. And Dave had come over to my place that day, and he had this box, which is actually also in my office. It's on top of my bookshelf. And inside the box was a scarf and a letter that looked like and read like a Hogwarts like acceptance letter, like a letter you would get when you were 11. That's like
Yeah, it was a Gryffindor scarf.
Yeah, a Gryffindor scarf.
Because I wasn't sure if you were Gryffindor or Hufflepuff.
I want to be a Gryffindor, but I am a Hufflepuff, as you
me
now
too.
know.
Me too.
I think a lot of people are like that. But anyways,
It's a mediocre
I could
class.
go into a whole podcast about that. But so it was a letter that looked like it literally looked like it was out of the movie or the books, because the books are better. But that was addressed to me, and it looked like I was going to Hogwarts, like supposed to have been sent to my 11-year-old self, but it was phrased as Dave asking me to be his girlfriend. And I immediately was like, yup, yes.
Wasn't there an owl too?
There was an owl, yes.
Yeah, there was a little white owl, which we
There
have
was.
somewhere.
We do have it somewhere, yeah.
I don't see it in the room over there.
No, I have the box over there, and I have the origami flowers in there.
Happens.
You know, but I was hooked pretty early with you. We did get engaged after like 5 months.
That's what I was gonna say, because you
Yeah.
were talking about our anniversary, where we consider our anniversary to be, and then because we've been married 4 years on the
19th.
on the
August
19th,
19th, yeah.
of this month.
Mm-hmm.
But
you asked me to be your girlfriend on August 12th,
right, but we we met on the
July 7th, let's call it.
July
I'm
7th
pretty
of
sure it was the
2016.
7th. Yeah.
We got engaged in December
28th, 2016.
2016, and then we got married August
19th, 2017. When you know, folks.
Yeah, we didn't wait around.
I waited a long time for this.
Me too. Actually, both our parents got married pretty quick too.
Yeah, both of our parents got engaged after 3 months.
So we're just carrying on the tradition.
So we were late compared to them.
Yeah. But I think the other thing I was going to mention is that so you have never had a boyfriend before.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had a few girlfriends, and this is a touchy subject.
Mm-hmm.
This is a touchy subject because up until this point, up until us,
Yeah.
there's no eye contact now. You consider yourself not to be a jealous person.
Correct.
We had a small conversation about this
At the state fair.
Was it at the state
It was
fair
at
or
the
zoo?
No, it was at the state fair. I vividly remember it.
Okay. At the state fair, the Great New York State Fair, which is coming up again.
It is.
Hopefully we can go. There won't be too many variants.
Yeah. So let me tell you about this conversation.
Oh boy.
So we had just gotten food from another vegan place that I was very leery of because it was
very good.
Very good, but it was
I'm
like
lactose intolerant, so I can get a shake there.
Yeah, but it was like all vegan.
This place is
So,
actually
like,
vegan.
The chicken wings were vegan. The burgers were vegan.
They're good.
It ended up being very good, but I was like, what the heck is this? I'm at the state fair. I want like a burger or like a pulled pork sandwich or I don't want vegan food. And it was delicious. I don't remember the name of it.
Strong Hearts.
Strong Hearts, but it was so
In
good. And we
Syracuse.
continue to every time we go to the fair, eat there because it's so good.
Yeah, actually, that's funny. We do actually every time we go to the state fair,
because
we
it's
do
really
eat there.
good. Yeah. So, we got our vegan food and we sat down and just out of nowhere, Dave's like, so, but I don't remember exactly how it came up, but he was like, I feel like I should tell you about my past serious relationships. And I was like, okay, cool. Because up until this point, I was like, I'm not a jealous person. Who cares what happened before? Whatever. He starts telling me about these two serious, more serious ex-girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never experienced the sensation of my blood boiling until this point.
Now, we had been dating for a while too, right?
It had been like a month and a half, almost 2 full months, because we went towards the end of August to the fair.
That's...
What's right?
Sorry, I'm coughing, but I'm also thinking we weren't dating as long as I thought we were when this conversation happened.
No, but I feel like at this point we already were we already knew this was different. We both knew that like we were in it pretty deep already. So he's telling me about these ex-girlfriends, and I was like, I want to rip their faces off. We actually got home. You had like dropped me off later that day, and I stalked them on Facebook as much as I could. And you probably still do. You had a bunch of pictures tagged with specifically one ex-girlfriend.
Well, I'd been with one for 7 years, so that makes sense.
7 years. Like I said, my jealous side came out. And I remember like looking at these pictures and being like, how am I going to have this conversation to tell him he needs to untag these pictures because you're not with her anymore?
I still don't think I'm untagged.
You're not untagged from them. I mention it every once in a while.
Hey, if you want to go into my Facebook and untag every single one of those,
it seems like a lot of work.
That's my point. Is it worth it?
It seems like a lot of work.
I'm married with you. We've got 2 kids.
I know.
She's
I
married
won.
with kids. We're
I won,
fine.
But
the
now
other
I
one
know.
is unmarried and God knows where. So
now I know I'm a very jealous person.
You are, but you know what? It doesn't seep into as much of life as I would have
sometimes
thought.
It's really just your ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, it's very, very
like every once in a
specific.
while it will pop up, and I will like make a thing of it.
Mm-hmm. Until we're past 7 years, is that what it is?
I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever end.
It'll never end.
Because like most people have exes going into a relationship. I just didn't. So I expected him to not. Yeah. Which is extremely unfair. But the fact that
it was my one flaw. It was my one flaw.
Makes me
listen
so bad.
Listen, you never extorted a trip out of me, and you never made me sleep on the floor. So you're doing great.
Well, and I'm also the love of your life, so there's that too.
Well, there's that small portion of it too. No, you are perfect in every way.
Oh,
and we have
thanks.
2 beautiful kids.
We do have 2 beautiful
we make
kids.
Beautiful babies.
They're so cute.
We were actually just talking about this, and this is probably obnoxious to hear. So if you don't want to listen to it,
we think our kids are cuter than everyone else's, which I'm sure most people do.
That's not what I was gonna say. Wow.
But like, doesn't every parent?
No, what I was gonna say is that our son Owen, he was a very cute baby. He had these pincerable cheeks, and for the first year, a little over a year of his life, we'd have people come up to us, like friends, strangers, whatever, coworkers, and they would be like, "You have the cutest baby. Your baby's so cute." And we'd be like, "Yeah, he's a cute kid." And they'd be like, "No, I'm not just saying this. He is the cutest baby I've ever seen." Like they'd want to make sure that we knew that they weren't just saying that out of just like because hey, that's a cute
something
baby.
You say,
right?
Yeah.
They were like genuinely wanted to go out of their way to make sure we knew that they genuinely thought that he was the cutest baby. And then COVID hit and we stopped getting those. But it was one of those things. It put some
pressure on Em.
It did.
And then, we were like, we're going to know if she's not that cute of a baby because we're not going to get the caveat of, but I'm not just saying this.
Well, and due to COVID. and
she's a COVID baby, yeah.
She's a COVID baby.
She's still cute, though.
She's very cute, but so we don't have that benchmark because not as many people have seen her.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I still got a couple at work and people saying that you have some of the really cutest kids, but nothing matched to Owen where they were just
he had these I always call him jowls, but that probably makes him sound not cute.
It makes him sound like a bulldog.
Yeah, but his cheeks were just they took up 75% of his face.
They did.
And then his eyes took up another 20 and everything else.
He had big eyes and big cheeks, but he wasn't chubby. He had these big features and this smile that would just light up. It was really cute and no hair.
Anyways, we digress.
Yeah.
But that is how Dave and I met.
Yes.
And how we started initially down this journey of
Mm-hmm.
creating a family, and
It was a long road. It was a
yeah.
long road, and we met later in life.
I mean, not super later in life.
Later than I was expecting.
Later than I was expecting too.
I was expecting to have had all this stuff figured out in
your 20s.
In my mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
I thought I had it figured out.
No, I agree. Like growing up, I thought I would be like married in my early 20s and like have all my kids by the time I was 30. But when we met, I was 28, and you were 29. You had just turned 30.
That month.
Yeah, I remember going to dinner for your 30th birthday.
Did you get me something for my birthday?
I did. I got you. It was hard because
we had just met.
We'd only been dating for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like officially, according to you, we had only been dating for 2 weeks at that point.
You got me Twizzlers,
a French
right?
press and Twizzlers,
and a French press, and a thing of coffee.
Yeah.
So you got me a tin of coffee, a French press, which Dan currently owns, and
his brother.
Yeah, my brother, because I left it in the apartment.
And Twizzlers. And I knew you really loved Twizzlers from the drive-in.
Mm-hmm. And that can of coffee I saved, and all the mementos from all of our dates afterwards. So happiest hour and all that stuff has all those bits and pieces in that.
In the can. I know.
The can.
It's
somewhere,
so cute.
Somewhere in our basement.
See, guys, he's so thoughtful. I don't deserve him. But I have him. Nobody else does. He's mine.
There's no reason to be jealous. And you put up with all my stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's us, guys. That's how we met.
That is how we met, and that's how this all came to be, so to speak.
Yep.
We don't know if you really cared about it, but we just wanted to share it. Thanks for listening to the Spillproof Podcast. As always, reach out to us at spillproofpodcast@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you all, and we can't wait to talk with you next time.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.